Welcome to Leadership Matters, where we explore what it truly means to lead with purpose, resilience, and impact at the age of 60 and beyond. I'm Cedric Fulton, and thanks for joining me as we kick off this incredible journey together. It's 2025 and a new year, and we are talking about getting our act together. It's a timeless tradition that comes naturally to most of us. Today, I want to talk about why our success or our failure in getting our act together is directly related to our superpower, leadership. So let's dive in. My leadership journey has not been conventional. I went from working on fighter aircraft in the United States Air Force, and then decades running large transportation organizations, including some of the world's busiest bridges and tunnels, connecting New York and New Jersey, including the George Washington Bridge, the Verrazzano Bridge, as well as the Lincoln, Holland, and New York City Midtown tunnels. I was responsible for thousands of employees, serving hundreds of thousands of traveling customers daily. But let me tell you, I'll be honest with you, leadership is rarely glamorous. It's about making tough decisions under pressure. Often the clock is running and you do not have much time or complete information upon which to make your decisions. Staying grounded amidst the chaos and finding ways to inspire others when the stakes could not be higher becomes of the highest priority. More importantly, as I've gotten older, I've recognized that leadership is one thing that impacts every area of our life. Leadership is more about than winning in the workplace. It's pretty easy to have a narrow perspective on leadership, but as we get older, the full definition and importance of leadership is more important than ever. While I thought I was winning in my career, I struggled for wins at home, with friends, in my church, in my community, with my health. I fell into the trap of thinking that if I was a winner in business, the rest would take care of itself. One of my favorite authors, John Maxwell, puts it this way: everything rises and falls on leadership. And he goes on to say that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. That's why we have to broaden our thinking about leadership beyond the workplace. Whether we are talking about self-leadership, headship in the home, finances, spiritual leadership, and of course, vocational leadership, they all tend to have one thing in common. To excel, you probably need to include some other people. Now, time is of the essence, and we don't have any to waste. It's important that we work with a leader's mindset to influence outcomes in every area of our life. The thing about leadership is that you always need it. You never know what's around the corner in any area of your life. In my experience, being ready is always better than getting ready. And one of the defining moments in my career came about something called Bridgegate. Bridgegate was a scandal that brought political and public scrutiny into my world at an unprecedented level. I had to lead myself and my team with integrity and focus while navigating immense external pressures and complicated situations. It was a test of leadership like no other, and frankly, a test I was not prepared for. That experience taught me that leadership is about more than solving problems and managing your business. You need a solid leadership base, a base built upon principles and values where the storms come. And it's not if the storms come, it's a matter of when the storms will come. So let's get into one of the most consequential aspects of leadership: trust. As a leader, few things are more important than leadership than trust. It's the glue that holds an organization together. Leaders can't repeatedly break trust with people and continue to influence them. Trust is the foundation of leadership. So let's talk about building a trusting environment. So how do you do that? How do you go about it and maintain the trust? Communication. It's worth talking about and taking the time to think about the stages of building trust. As a new boss, on the eve of kicking off a new project, as an established boss, or when you want to initiate culture in your organization, which is extremely difficult, I'm sure most of you know. In each instance, you have to set the stage with communication. An organization made up a lot of people at every level, and decisions need to be processed by people correctly. So you should be intentional about how you get the ball rolling. So you begin by gathering the leaders. These are the people who are going to push your message down into the organization. Then you cast vision. Cast your vision. Tell the people how you see the world and how you want to move them from where you are to where the future state is. And make sure you answer questions. If your people are honest and smart, they will have lots of questions. If people don't ask questions, perhaps you should be concerned and worried as to it speaks to a deeper cultural issue perhaps. You have to guide people through the issues. Now, one of the questions will come with more questions. For example, if you make a move that could change the status quo on issues related to, say, like pay and benefits, that will incite a lot of anxiety. You can't shrug those questions off. You got to give your leaders time to exert their influence with the next level of leaders. People tend to wrap their heads around whatever you are giving them when you give them more information. One of the biggest mistakes we make as leaders is to start running when others are not even walking yet. When the time is right, move forward. Make the announcements, bring everybody on board, making sure that all of the leaders are providing the necessary reassurance and encouragement that people want to be part of your vision. Let's think about it. It's hard for me to trust you if I don't know where you're taking me and what's going to happen when I get there. What are other actions that can help build trust? I think there are 3 key elements to building trust. You must consistently demonstrate competence, connectedness, and character. Starting with competence. That means knowing more than your business. If you're an expert, for example, in construction engineering, leading a group of medical research scientists could be difficult. Not impossible. You don't have to be an expert in everything, technically speaking, but you must know how to move your business forward. That's vital. People will not follow if you don't think. If they don't think, you know what you are doing. Now let's talk about connection. Again, John Maxwell is known for saying, people don't care too much about how much you know until they know how much you care. Connections help people stay with you on the journey. It makes them feel a part of it. It's perhaps one of the most difficult things to do because, simply put, building connection takes a lot of time. Many a startup leader longs for the day when they knew everyone in the company by name. Grow big enough, fast enough, and you can begin to feel like you're lost connection with your own organization. That's why it is so important to plant, to sow deeply into your leadership team so they can plant into the people at every level of your organization. Finally, character. People will forgive occasional ability mistakes, but they will not trust someone who has slips in character. That is one reason that you need to treat trust as one of your most precious assets. Leadership is a combination of strategy and character, but if you have to pick one, pick character. Character and leadership, credibility always go hand in hand. Character also conveys consistency. Whenever you lead people, they make a decision to hang out with you. Treat them well, everything is good. But if your character is flawed, hanging with you becomes troublesome. No one enjoys spending time with someone they do not trust. Character helps build people, and people believe they can count on you. If your people don't know what to expect from you as a leader, at any point, they won't look to you for leadership. You don't build trust by talking about it. You build it by achieving results with integrity and in a manner that always shows real personal regard for people with whom you work with. If you don't have character, you can't earn respect. Respect is absolutely necessary for lasting trust. In leadership and as life, the reality is that some of the things you say you're going to do, they're not going to go right. The question is, how do you act when those things go wrong? That's a major test of how much people will trust you. When you lead, there will be situations where what you said was going to happen needs to be modified. A lot can happen, and sometimes the explanation is, simply put, I made a mistake. Most of our time, people know when we make a mistake. We're only kidding ourselves if we don't think that is true. It's like thinking putting a stick of gum can cover up the booze on your breath. Generally speaking, that does not work. People close to you know it, even if not by the smell, but by your actions. You may be able to fool your boss, but you can never fool your colleagues or your subordinates. The real question is whether you are going to fess up or not. And remember, your people are watching. If you violate their trust, you will find it very difficult to ever return their confidence again. It's been said trust is like changing a leader's pocket. Each time you make a good decision, you have more change. Each time you make a poor decision, you pay out some of your change to people. All leaders have a certain amount of change in their pockets. When you are out of change, you're probably out of leadership. If you shift from a plan, coming clean is your best option. Let me take a sidebar for a second to talk about the relationship between character and values. We just went through a pretty contentious election cycle. Donald Trump is now the sitting president of the United States. Not my personal choice, but I respect the process. As it relates to Donald Trump, it is documented that his core values as a president are patriotism, economic prosperity, law and order. The values are bolstered by his skepticism of establishment at the same time. He is a strident believer in direct communication with demonstrated uncompromising resilience. I mean, after all, he did survive an assassination attempt. He's a very complicated leader. His values, as demonstrated by the election results, have garnered him significant support and led to a clear re-election. Yet, President Trump's leadership style has also been the source of intense criticism and controversy. His tenure highlights the deeply divided nature of American politics, where actions and policies are viewed through highly partisan lenses. Looking at his core values, we get a clear understanding of what is most important to the people who choose to follow him, in spite of the controversy. So what's the point? Well, you may agree or disagree with President Trump, but one thing you can never say is that he is not true to his character. He is consistent in what he says is important. Many have and will always argue that what he says in and of itself is not bad. Nevertheless, it is a fact that his leadership style has plenty of downsides. Undoubtedly, some innocent people will be hurt by the fallout of his initiatives. However, he does not claim empathy, compassion, or equity as his top value priorities. People who agree with him, they tend to regard what he considers the most important values and priorities. They stand with him. While some of his supporters may also believe softer values such as empathy, compassion, and equity are important, his followers apparently believe President Trump's priorities are more important. Consequently, they give him a pass on the other values propositions. President Trump has been consistent with regard to his worldview and his approach to leading, and he has never wavered. His followers trust him, so there you go, family. Trust is crucial. It makes leadership possible. So here we are, and time is marching on. After a certain age, it's tempting to think, I've done the hard work. Now it's time for me to rest. Well, in my experience, it's not quite that easy. If you're anything like me, goal setting and goal crushing is in your blood. Great leadership is intentional, and it will keep you out of that trap of sitting back and taking your foot off the gas. Well, you might say that, what does that mean to be intentional? At its core, it means no matter our age, we strive to be better leaders, to rise above the challenges we develop, and we seek to inspire those around us. Life changes constantly as we navigate our leadership journey. Sometimes we are riding a crest of excitement and success. Other times, we find ourselves rebuilding after setbacks, or we feel stuck and we simply want to get unstuck. Hopefully, you'll find some tools and insights you need right here on this channel. In each episode of Leadership Matters, we'll explore topics like values, leadership under pressure, key priorities, effective timing, personal growth, servant leadership, spirituality, boldness, overcoming fear, leading with integrity, consistency, reinvention, health, and creating a lasting legacy through leadership, and so many more topics. If you are like me in your 60s and contemplating what's next in life, rest assured that there is so much more for us to do. Accordingly, if you're ready to start using your life experience and improving your leadership, To building your legacy one step at a time, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Together, we'll explore what it means to lead with courage, faith, and purpose. And don't forget, drop a comment below. What's one leadership challenge you faced that shaped who you are today? I'd love to hear your story. This is Cedric at Leadership Matters, and I believe that no matter how old you are, there is a next level leader waiting to change your life. Let's move forward together.